It's time for Real Talk with Brian and Dan, the weekly talk radio show dedicated to discussing important real estate topics, plus insight into the local community. With a combined experience of over 50 years as local real estate brokers from the East Side Real Estate Team at Keller Williams Realty Bellevue. Here's your hosts, Brian Levitt and Dan Edwards.
Well, good afternoon. Welcome to Real Talk with Brian and Dan on 1150 KKNW. The training wheels are off. It is July 10th, 2019, and you're joining us live today. And listen, if you'd like to listen to this episode and past episodes, you can find us anywhere where podcasts are found. So anywhere like Tuned In and Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. Well, listen, we have another great show today, a fantastic show, and I'm excited to have our two guests in. Roman, how do you say your last name again? Polikov, and Jonathan Murphy of Toyota of Bellevue. Aaron Wood with Keller Williams Realty in Bellevue, and some great, great content. But before we get to these fine guests, it's time for some Real Talk.
Last week, we talked about young first-time buyers. Today, we're going to talk about how having a professional on your side in real estate can make all the difference. In today's fast-paced world where answers are a Google search away, there are some who make wonder what the benefits of hiring a real estate professional to help them in their home search are. Truth is, the addition of more information often causes more confusion. Now more than ever, you need an expert on your side who is going to guide you toward your dreams and not let anything get in the way of achieving them.
Now, Brian, you've been helping all kinds of folks for many years now, right?
That's right.
And there's a difference between an agent that shows up, opens a door, and one that actually solves problems. Wouldn't you agree?
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
What is what would you say is the true test of where somebody is actually looking out for you as a consumer versus just a paycheck?
Well, I think, first and foremost, having their interest first and foremost. Fiduciary. Yeah. Under Washington law, we're not obligated to a fiduciary relationship, but and fiduciary, for those who don't understand, fancy. Fiduciary means acting in a way that is in the other person's best interest, as if it were your own. I mean, absolute best interest, putting their interest first. And I think that's something that I appreciate about working with you, as you and I are both committed to client interest always coming first.
Right. It really is about a long-term relationship, being able to serve the clients in a situation where there's a lot of emotion. Mm-hmm. And as an agent, you can really help guide the consumer through that.
Right.
You can also throw fuel on a fire, which has happened to us when there's other agents involved, unfortunately, not recognizing that they have to take their emotions out of it and help guide their client through. I had a story that I won't share with you.
Yeah, I think you did.
We talked to Brian and I talked about it.
I think that third-party separation, to be able to objectively walk through, so that there is a non-emotional, and buying your home, it's very personal, very emotional. So the objective view to look at it, that way is huge. And I think another thing that's often overlooked is the local experience, the boots on the ground experience that I find time after time. I'm able to assist my clients because of the local knowledge that I'll save people from transactions where, it sounds funny, but I'm helping people not buy a home in that situation. Right. But it's the right move, and that's putting client interest first.
And the key to that, too, is, on average, an individual or a family is going to buy maybe 4 homes in their lifetime.
Yeah, 4 or 5 typically.
Right?
Yep.
We did that last month, right? Mm-hmm. So we did that in an individual basis. So we're seeing these things come up, and it's about, my favorite thing to do is when a buyer or a seller says, hey, I'm going to interview several agents.
Right.
That's my favorite thing to do. Why? Because I know I have to show up with my best game. And also, too, I'm not taking that business for granted. Right. I'm knowing that when I show up to serve that client, it goes back to your fiduciary, right? I'm showing up as a representative. And it's really an honor, actually, to have them say, I pick you.
One of my favorite stories is a client who was interviewing 5, and he first kind of screened a whole group. And he calls me and says, "Okay, Brian, you're in the beauty contest." And it's like,
uh-oh.
Yeah,
no, I'm just joking.
Game's on, and I got the transaction. But I really thought that was an interesting way of putting it, is in the beauty contest, put your best foot forward.
So you made it past the first round.
Yeah.
And then did you win?
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome.
I got a call. We're heading out for a little weekend, and he calls me and says, "Okay, final question, what are you going to do for me?" And they had what I considered a relatively small problem that I had a solution to, And he called me, and then he called the other broker.
Mm-hmm.
The other broker used an expletive with him.
Oh.
He called me back. That kind of settled it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How you're carrying yourself.
Yeah, just like, I'll work with you. I want your business.
Awesome.
So
So here's the funny thing. According to some statistics by the National Association of Realtors, there's about 230 possible steps that have to take place during any successful transaction. So having somebody that is really, a first-time home buyer, or one of my favorites, the first-time home seller, having them be in a position of understanding that those 230 steps have been gone through
right.
on a regular basis. And I found that oftentimes when people do this for a long time, they sometimes get complacent,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to kind of refresh and recharge and provide your clients with a fresh look at it, it's really important. And to
Right.
have somebody that is competing for your business, they're not doing it, they're not taking it for granted.
Right. I think something too is it's not just the skill set. You mentioned people typically 4 or 5 homes in their lifetime. Between you and I, we've done thousands,
Right.
and we do it every single day. So for us to walk someone through is what we do. I mean, one of the things I firmly believe is there's no such thing as a dumb question. Walk people through the entire process. And it's not just the experience we've gained, but the systems that we've built and put into place. So every one of those steps is done and done right. And so that's checklist driven, that's systems driven to deliver a consistently excellent product time and time again.
So one of the the main reason why I wanted to have this show here on the radio with our listeners, right, is the amount of expertise that you have in the 38 years that you've been selling real estate. It's important to get that out.
Right.
So we want to, challenge our listeners out there, friends, colleagues, to give us a call with your questions.
Right.
So at the end of this segment, we have time, and our phone to call in is 425-373-5527. That's 425-373-5527. I'd love for the listeners to challenge us with some tough questions on real estate. And I don't know if you can think of a particular instance where you solved a problem for a client that shows how the experience matters for representation.
Sure. I mean, an example is dealing in East King County. We deal with rural properties frequently. And I had a client they had found a home online, interested in making an offer. And the first words I said is, we need to very carefully have the well water, so properties on a well, rural property, analyzed, because there's likely going to be arsenic. And like, what? Well, I know that area. I know where those wells are going to have problems because I've been selling in the area for so long.
Yeah.
Well, they did the test. Sure enough, there's arsenic. Hard pass. I mean, who wants arsenic in their drinking water? And there's filter systems. There's things you can do, but still.
Plus, you get arsenic from apple cores, right? I mean, no.
I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to research that.
Apple seeds, they have arsenic in them. Yeah.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
fun fact.
The other thing I was going to say is having the wisdom that if we don't know an answer, we don't just wing it. We do the research necessary to deliver the right information, the right answer.
Well, I have a good success story too.
Yeah.
So my client, we had a property that was almost identical to another property in the same neighborhood in Tallis, one we've talked about here on the show recently. And that property was on the market. The competing property was on the market about 40 days before we hit the market. I knew we had to compete, and so did the seller. So we made sure we did the full, program, which is staging, cleaning the windows, cleaning up any issues that might have come up on inspection, the whole thing, what we call our premier listing program.
Right.
Hit the market, and we had some market time because right now, just listeners out there, if you looking at the market and you're thinking like homes are sticking around, it's normal. 30 days plus, that's normal. Yeah. It was abnormal to sell a home in 2 days.
Right.
So we were on the market about 30, 35 days. We ended up getting an offer. The other house did not get an offer. We ended up even closing. The other house went into contract, fell out of contract. Mm-hmm. So now I'd love to, break my arm patting myself on the back. I know we did a great job for our client. We ended up selling when the other one didn't.
Right. And that's through doing all those steps right up front. Prior proper planning prevents poor performance.
What now? Say that again.
Yeah. Prior proper planning prevents poor performance.
Nice.
I dropped one word that's commonly used in that phrase. But doing the work ahead of time, that's the thing about a successful listing, is laying out the plan ahead of time. Planning the work, working the plan is the basics.
Well, I mean, we wouldn't be here today if there wasn't something to representation. Right. If people believe they can get what they wanted, what they needed out of the internet, we would be done. We'd be out of business. Yeah. And it just has to do with that experience, that wisdom, and then also understanding the consumer situation.
Right. And a whole other aspect is being a skilled negotiator that you learn from doing this thousands of times, literally. And every transaction is different. So taking the time to listen to people's needs, when I'm representing a buyer, doing research on the seller, looking for what they really want.
Sure.
I think the assumption is always money. It's not.
Right.
Sellers want the best price for their home, but I'm finding so often timing can be even more important
Time
than
is money.
Right.
Yep.
And so really paying attention to the details to negotiate for what our clients truly want to deliver that.
Awesome. Well, hey, I alluded to it. We are now off the training wheels. We are actually live today, so you're listening live. And if you're listening live, you can ask us your questions. Just call 425-373-5527. And coming up, we have got a great couple of guys here in the office in the studio. Today. So after this break, we'll be hearing from Roman and Mr. Murph from Michael's Toyota of Bellevue. Please come on back.
Did you know when you pay rent, you're actually paying someone else's mortgage? Are you tired of missing out on owning your own home? Fact: homeowners on average have 40 times the financial net worth of renters. The Eastside Real Estate Team has been helping many first-time home buyers find and buy their first home. They specialize in customer service and put you first. They listen first to what you're looking for, and then they take the time to make sure their clients understand every aspect of the home buying process. If owning a home has been your dream, the Eastside Real Estate Team can help you. For a free, no-hassle consultation, call 425-200-4093 or find them online at the eastsiderealestateteam.com, a subsidiary of Keller Williams Realty in Bellevue.